one of the big things was how close people were, their proximity in the feudal hierarchy to the crown. Because if they were very close to the crown, those guys don't want anything to change. They're doing really well out of the current system. They're not advocating for any changes. They're probably not necessarily viewing a small increase in agricultural production as a threat to their position. But actually, that's what it turns into, because those small increases mount up, and the small changes that people make where they start evicting tenants and enclosing the land, that kind of gradually increases. And over a couple of 100 years, you get this situation where the more progressive landlords are joined by these kind of a new kind of merchant class who are really kind of out for making a load of money as well. And they've been stifled by the feudal system. There were all kinds of restrictions on what you could buy and what you could sell and who you could sell it to and where you could have a market. And these guys kind of circumvented that by holding illegal markets outside of the borough towns. So you get these two things. You get these forward-looking landowners and you get this new merchant class developing. And they start getting quite a bit of power. They're getting power, but it's economic power. They've just got the money. They've got the clout, but they don't have any political power. And that then they start butting up against the established order. And then you get in the 1640s, you get a civil war in England. And it's really between, we always call it, we're at school in England, we're always taught it's the English Civil War. But in the 1930s, a Marxist historian called Christopher Hill said, hang on, that's England's revolution. That's the English Revolution you're looking at there. That's the capitalist revolution, whereby the rising bourgeoisie, the capitalist class, overthrow the feudal barons and the old order. And it kind of, it's not a kind of a complete break. They win the Civil War, they cut the king's head off, Oliver Cromwell takes over for a bit, tries to put his son in charge, which is really not what people were kind of expecting to happen, because this looks like starting a new dynasty. And in the end, they restored the monarchy, and then which was 1660, and then by 1688, they felt that the monarchy was going in the wrong direction and trying to revert to its old ways under James, and so they kind of invited William of Orange to come in, who's a staunchly Protestant, came in from Holland, took over the English throne, but in a very much reduced role, a very constitutional. So we ended up then with a constitutional monarchy. So the capitalist class, who are represented by Parliament, had now got kind of a foothold in political power. Instead of the king, as Charles I in 1628, just say, right, I'm not having a parliament anymore, go away. And he ruled without a parliament for 11 years. By the end of the 17th century, then you have a constitutional monarchy, and Parliament has a lot more power, and that suits the rising capitalist class a lot more, because that's their power base really. That their economic power, they've now got some political power to go with it. So in some ways, there's a lot of things to couple of things you can take from that. One is that actual process of revolution kind of took a few hundred years. There was the flashpoint at the end that we call the Civil War, or that Christopher Hill called the English Revolution. But that was really most of it was done by then. Most of it had already happened. The revolution was this long process where a different kind of arrangement, a different type of ownership, a different set of things that can be owned, a different way of looking at property rights, all that kind of thing came in over this long period. And then the flashpoint was when the class that was sort of had benefited from all this, the bourgeoisie, the capitalist class, managed to just grab the political power, and that was that completed the revolution.